Carter Elliott asks, Purdue social media listens. Boiler Ball has dropped the first look Omer Meyer post. We explicitly demanded this. Cart started threatening the Boiler Ball Twitter account 2 days ago, and Purdue responded. I like to think that we can take credit for this. So great job, Carter Elliott. Something I haven't said in roughly 3 years. Omar Meyer, we have 3 video clips of him at Purdue practice. We have like a still photo here that's shared to Twitter. If you go to Instagram, there is a lot more. There are 15 slides to the Omer Meyer first look on the Purdue basketball Instagram account. And there's a lot of footage here, quite frankly, of things that he's doing in practice, plays that he's making, jump shots being made, actions he's running with TKR, Braden Smith looking on from behind him, just watching his protege cook. It's exactly what I expected Purdue would be getting when Omer arrives. What's your first reaction to your first look at Omer Meyer?
First reaction is looks really good in a Purdue jersey. I feel like that needs to be noted. He looks incredible in this jersey. Is he like a model by any chance? I know that's gonna sound crazy, but like he kind of looks like a model a little
He
bit.
will be. Yeah, we've been doing this whole look, this is going to get weird. Let's just acknowledge this. Anytime we do like looks with college basketball players, it's going to get weird. Unfortunately for us, this happens a lot more than I would like to have happen. Like I've been on record for years saying headshots can tell you everything about a player. Listen, Omer should be a model. He has the jawline of a Greek god. In the Purdue channel yesterday, we had Purdue fans arguing in our Discord about whether or not he has a Superman physique or not. And a couple of people were like, he looks like Superman. And then Boom Fizzle, one of our beloved Purdue accounts, was just like, guys, come on. I know we're excited. That's not a Superman physique. And then I was dying. I'm like, Boom Fizzle said he's built like Robin. Like, that's crazy. Peter Parker looking ass over here. So yeah, he's a good looking dude. Let's just get that out of the way. There's going to be a lot of jokes on this channel, probably made about him being extremely handsome because he is extremely handsome.
Really good looking dude. Really good looking dude. But to get into the game a little bit, jumper looks incredibly pure. Like it's very one motion, not a lot of legs. I think those are the two most important things for any jump shot, especially because it doesn't look like it's going to wear him out to take a lot of jump shots, especially if he's creating it off the dribble. Which brings me to the next point, the other 2 video clips, DHOs, actions being ran for Omer. That's kind of what I was discussing. He's going to allow Braden to play off ball sometimes to take a breather. And he's going to allow Braden to stand in the corner, get easy looks, to cut off drives, which I believe you saw Fletcher do. At least I think it was Fletch. I don't remember who it was, but you see Fletch do it in one of the videos with Omer that I think was posted to Instagram, where he cuts to the basket. Omer hits like a no look pass for a layup. Um, some of the moves he makes are like NBA moves. And I know I've kind of jumped the gun with him being like a first round pick in the next draft. I don't know. Everything we've seen so far feels very first roundy. It feels very like we can move Braden off ball, get him some breathers. It feels very much so like Fletch is going to get a lot of really open looks. Um, the one person I think this affects the most is TKR, because now
Ooh.
you have two ball handlers, and some of the, like the let's drop it into TKR in the post and run around him type of thing. How often is that going to happen now when you have at all times you're going to have one of the best guards in the country on the court?
hmm I think you're right. That's an interesting way to frame it that I don't think I've thought about too much, but I think you're probably right. TKR was featured in some of these clips and a lot of dribble handoff stuff, as you mentioned. TKR also had a really nice assist where he like drew contact, kind of jumped like he was going to go up, and then kicked to Omer in the corner for a three. I think the reality here, and this sets in when you just watch Omer actually in a practice now, right? It's different than watching him wherever he was before with Team Israel, highlights from his professional career. It's just different when you actually see him in the context of the roster and this team. There's going to be serious levels of sacrifice involved if Omer is as good as we think he is. Now, if Omer's not as good as we think he is, then it's just mostly the same as last year, just with way better centers next to them than Oscar or than Caleb First. Oscar Clough, Daniel Jacobson will be great. If those guys arrive, and if CJ Cox and Jakari Harris are the primary shooting guards here, Omer's your backup point guard, the team doesn't really feel any different. The only difference is Braden is less tired at the end of games, and you don't have centers that are just running around doing nothing. If Omar Meyer's a star, and I used the star word, I'm going to start using that word with this kid because I don't want to beat around the bush anymore. I just think everything we see from him is star. Whether it's this year or next year, he has a persona to him. He has the game. He definitely has the jumper. I think he's a star. At some point in a Purdue uniform, he will be a star. If he's a star, TKR, Braden, and Fletch are all probably going to have a significantly different look and feel to how they are used on this team. And it's weird because I don't think like if Omer's fantastic, I don't think that means Braden's numbers get hurt. I don't think even like his reps will necessarily be lowered that much just moving off ball. He might shoot it a little more, he might pass it a little less, but I still think he can win National Player of the Year. I still think he can set the assist record if Omer Meyer's a star. But if Omer Meyer's a star, Fletch might touch the ball less just because you're running more actions for Omer, and Fletcher's probably just used as a full-time pure spacer and not really running any sort of get Fletcher a shot shots. TKR, though, I think you're right, is probably the guy who will have the most different from last year to this year type usage if Omer's awesome. Not to say he won't be heavily involved, but he might be more involved in actions that are run for Omer. And that's what you see a ton in this video, right? It's like handoff, 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 handoff. And by the way, I can already tell that action is lethal. If you get Omer going to his right with a little bit of space off a dribble handoff, and by the way, I'm the whole time this is happening, it wasn't true in this practice, but in games it will be. Running that action with Braden Smith weak side and Fletcher Lawyer in the corner, Dion, what the hell do you do?
I thought this, so that to me was the most important tidbit is you could see they were waiting for someone to be on the court with him within this because they stuck Fletcher weak side. And it's like, why would Fletcher be weak side if the whole point of this drill was like to put people in their strongest positions? It's because they were running it under the assumption Braden's on the court when they run this action most of the time. And they're
Hmm.
saving somebody to be on there. Then they'll swing Fletcher to the corner. They'll move Braden weak side, like you said, but they're waiting for somebody else to be on the court. And you even see that in the Braden videos we've seen this summer, where he's getting the ball in the corner or he's coming off DHOs. They're waiting to show us the videos of these two together. And when these two are together, I think it's going to be unstoppable because I mean this with like all due respect to anybody else in the country. I think Fletcher Loyer is the last shooter I would ever want to leave by himself at the
100%.
point.
100%.
And you're going to have to almost, or you're going to let Braden and Omer go one on one. Because if you're not leaving Braden, if you're not leaving Fletcher, you're going to leave TKR wide open rolling to the paint. If you're not leaving TKR wide open rolling to the paint, you have Clough or Jacobson in the dunker spot. I mean, I honestly like the one that's also interesting. I've said it a couple times. Like, is Clough the center on this team? Because I feel like the 7'4" guy that can protect the rim and stand in the dunker spot is going to catch a whole lot of lobs from Braden and Omer coming off this DHO action. Um, I just don't know how you stop it. This team looks really, 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 really unstoppable if everybody buys in to the lesser role that you discussed as well, right? Because Braden will not, his numbers won't deplete. His usage might be a little smaller though. But it's going to allow him to do everything he did last year more efficiently, with using less energy. And it's basically going to allow him to like now, the last 6 minutes of the game, those Walter Clayton minutes, would you rather have the ball in Walter Clayton's hands or Braden Smith's hands? But Walter Clayton coasted for 20 some odd minutes prior to that and then went crazy the last 10. Braden's going to be able to coast for 30 minutes now and then have the ball in his hands the last 10. That's a very scary sight.
Yeah. Yep, 100%. Yeah. I don't know. I found one other element of this interesting. Like you go through the clips, it really is a bunch of dribble handoffs. Like he had one with Clough, he had one with TKR. Pretty much every single thing that he was shown doing action wise, what are they running? What are they putting him in? Was a dribble handoff. And it was a dribble handoff to his right. And off of every single dribble handoff, except for one, I think, Omer took one dribble, pulled up, and hit a jumper.
Yeah.
So, look, he is more dynamic than that, right? We've seen him have to do a lot more creative things in how he's been used with Team Israel. I think the beauty of it is, at least for this season, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. If he's a one and done, if he's there for 4 years, I don't know. But at least for this season, the one we know is coming, they have such a luxury of using a guy I keep calling a star in such a simple way because you're not going to stretch your imagination trying to see what Omer can or cannot do when you have Braden and TKR. You're going to keep it as elementary as possible. And that might feel a little boring if you're just specifically looking through the lens of Omar Meyer at times, but it's going to be lethal. That's the word I keep coming up with because I just don't know. Like this dude might be the most dynamic third option in the sport. I mean, he's a first option playing a third option role. And um I just think this is also a good reminder. We know Paint's an offensive genius. Long before he was making deep NCAA tournament runs even, he had the reputation of one of the smartest offensive coaches in the game. And I think it gets lost sometimes just how good him and his staff are, actions wise, philosophy wise. PJ Thompson's been awesome as the offensive coordinator. Sometimes his players, Braden and TKR, make it look so simple that I don't think they get enough credit for how much they put them in spots to succeed. And Paint's had to, over the years, kind of adjust a little bit from being like a micromanager of how this needs to look into like, you know what? I trust Braden. I'm going to let him rock a little bit and have some freedom. But last year, some of the offseason hype was like, inverted pick and rolls, TKR being a ball handler, using his passing a little bit. This year, it's just a hint like we are going to see Omar Meyer execute some of the most easy actions he's ever been asked to do. I can guarantee you when he was practicing with Team Israel, anything he was doing, it wasn't as easy as coming off of a pick and roll from TKR with Braden Smith weak side and Fletcher Lawyer in the corner. He's going to look up and be like, where are the triple teams? I'm very confused right now. And yeah, as a rival Big Ten fan, as a fan of a team who's preseason top 10, I don't know what we do with this. Like, teams are going to have to get real creative defensively to come up with answers against this group. This video is brought to you by NBA 2K Labs or maybe college football labs because the people behind 2K Labs have just built something awesome. CFBLabs.com has everything you need to play college football 26 even better. Cart, you've been playing the game, right?
I have been, but I'm behind the eight ball, Gregory. There's a lot of people out there who got a little bit of edge on me, but the good folks over at 2K Labs got me covered. They got the playbooks I need, the plays, the head-to-head coaches, knowing some teams. Obviously, way too many college football teams. I need the inside edge here, and they got all different types of things to help me get that edge.
Yeah, I jumped in and started playing Road to Glory over the weekend, and I ended up like a two-star recruit that did not get one snap in season one because I chose the wrong school with the wrong roster that was way too loaded. Had I known that CFBLabs.com exists, I would have made a much more wise decision in my Road to Glory mode. They've got teams, playbooks, coaches, team comparison tools. You can literally see every single play in the game, every player in the game, their rating, what they're good at, all in one consolidated place online to help you make the right choices and win more games in college football 26. CFBLabs.com. Go check it out.
It doesn't feel like any other team in the top 10 to me. Like you can go down pretty much any team in the top 10. I can nitpick it. I can point out a weakness. I can point out a question mark. I will say Duke dropped a minute and a half video yesterday that felt very Purdue-like, by the way. But outside of that video, I can nitpick pretty much any other scrimmage video that we've seen from anybody in the top 10. I don't know how you nitpick Purdue. Unless the only thing I could say, this is if you're bold enough to let Omer Meyer and Braden just shoot threes the whole game, you could just sag off the DHL, right? And you could pack the paint and you could assume that TKR and Clough aren't going to shoot jumpers. But if you do that, Braden and Omer are going to kill you. So I don't know what you do. I really don't know what you do. That's the one solution I have for all this, and it pretty much allows two guys that I could believe shoot at a 40% clip to shoot wide open threes. So good luck.
Yeah, I mean, my best guess is that I bet we'll see a lot of teams saying, you know what, TKR beat us.
Yeah.
But Purdue will gladly take that. Like TKR was the best post scorer in the sport last year. So, like that's the right now in my head, the best way to go about trying to stop Purdue is let's let TKR go one-on-one and see what he does. And that is a horrible plan to stop Purdue because TKR will absolutely destroy you. So, I don't know, man. I like that more than leaving Omer wide open at the elbow, though. I can tell you that. And this video, he just killed. There's also that picture. I'm sure you saw it. Braden standing courtside watching Omer, and it's just like master and protege for a second. You can almost see, I'm projecting, but you can almost see in Braden's eyes, he's like, oh shit,
Yeah.
we got one. Like, I just love that picture. I would frame that if I'm a Purdue fan.
Here's the thing about Braden that I think is incredibly like special and also why it worked with Edie too. I think Braden very much so understands like what he needs to do to win and win at this level. And not just at this level, he probably understands what he needs to do to win at the next level too. And he knows it's not having the ball in his hands for 40 minutes a game. And he knows, like, not necessarily taking a back seat this time, right? But he knew he had to take a back seat to Edie, gladly did it, played his role. They made a national title. I'm not saying he feels like he has to take a back seat to Omer by any means, but I think he knows he needs him to get there. And in order to have Omer bought in, he knows at times he's going to have to take a back seat, right? And when I bring up the idea of Braden playing the quote unquote Steph Curry role for the Warriors, that is part of what Steph made Steph Curry so great. Was
Yeah.
he knew, yes, this is my team, but at times I need to take a backseat to Kevin Durant to keep him happy or to keep Clay happy or Jordan Poole. I mean, Jordan Poole started in the playoffs for us. And sometimes just knowing what you have to do to keep everybody else on your team happy, that's how you get so far. And Braden seems to have a clear understanding of like, yes, I could do this on my own, but I can't win a national title on my own. So let me keep this guy happy. Let me keep Fletch happy. Let me keep TKR happy, and I'll get mine when I need to.
NBA champion Jordan Poole. Yeah. So yeah, I think I just like to. I was looking at that picture for like 15 minutes last night. I really was. We're the only media outlet on earth that cares this much about this stuff. But hey, sorry, I'm obsessed with this. This team's gonna be awesome. I like good basketball. Sue me. Anyways, I was looking at the pic and it just dawned on me like trying to imagine what Braden must feel like at Omer's first practice. Like this is a kid that has been here for 3 years. This is a kid that I mean the summer leading into his first season, I remember doing a Twitter Spaces with DK and Rafael Davis. And I remember being like, how can we put Purdue anywhere near the top of the standings when they literally didn't get a point guard? What is two little freshmen from Indiana going to come in and help this team? And Braden Smith immediately was like beating Duke and Gonzaga 1 week into his first steps on. It was welcome week, and he dropped like 20 and 6. Um, he was just awesome. And then, they had the heartbreak, the whole legacy, right? I think he's been through more than any player in college basketball. To be the freshman starting point guard on a team with the National Player of the Year that was the number one overall seed in the tournament, loses to a 16 seed. That alone in year one is more than most people will have ups and downs in their entire career. Then you come back the next year, you're even better, you're all conference, you help Edie get a second National Player of the Year, you make a title run to the championship game. Then you come back your junior year, you're the Big Ten Player of the Year. Like now you've taken the lead. Now you come back your senior year after fending off offers of millions and millions of dollars. The question of will he or won't he return? Everyone in the country wants you. Now you're a superstar. Apparently you got a girlfriend. Like all things are turning up Braden Smith, right? You are the preseason National Player of the Year on the number one team. But importantly, Dion, after all you have been through, I feel like it's lost sometimes, it's taken for granted. Part of why Braden has been so willing to remain here is he cares about his legacy. He cares about trying to win this national championship and going down as maybe the greatest Purdue player ever. And I think Braden knows he's such a competitive dude. You could see it. There were times at the end of last year, I don't want to say he checked out, but he was spent, right? He was giving 130%, playing 40 minutes a game on a team that just didn't have enough.
Yeah.
And Braden is too competitive to have signed up for that again. The reason Purdue is back is because Braden and Paint, credit to Paint, must have discussed the idea of, if I come back, we have to go all in on a championship. And that meant balls in Paint's court. What are you going to do for me? And Paint immediately got the best rebounder in the country and got this kid, Omar Meyer. And I feel like long story short, I'm thinking through all these things. Imagine what that moment must have been like after all Braden has been through, after all the offseason discussions and the betting on himself to return one more time, knowing that like it was all almost centered around this Omar Meyer arrival being really good. And then he shows up and Braden's just kind of sitting at the side like, let's see, is it real? Is it not? It's extremely real. And that's the look I think you see in Braden's face on that picture, is like, this is what I returned for. And I don't know, it's got me pumped. The juices are flowing right now.
I don't know why we don't hear college kids talk about this more, but you hear NBA, and maybe it's because college kids are more competitive, actually. That's 100% why it is. It's because college kids are more competitive. But you hear NBA players talk a lot about the moment they believed their team could win a championship and how it flipped a switch in their head. Yesterday was the day the flip switch in Braden's head where he goes, okay, we can go win a championship now. Because you always believe you can, right? Like no one doesn't believe they can win a championship, but you don't believe it until you see it at some point, right? Like Draymond talked all the time when Jimmy came, it just changed the way we approached everything because now we believed we could win a championship. Cade's going to go through it this year where it's like, hey, we're not the pesky underdog anymore. We believe we can go do something. Luka lost weight. I mean, Luka has me at it. You know what I mean? Like, there's guys where you can tell, like, they believe they can go do it now. That picture was Braden saying, I believe I can go do it.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. Last thing. So from scrolling through this, I will say it looks like this is a bunch of picks from one practice and teams changed. Like they must have gone through different drills, different scrimmages. Okay, you're in black this time, switch to white. Let's get different groups together. But there was at least one segment of this practice in which Omer Meyer and TKR and Braden Smith and I believe Fletcher Lawyer were all on the same team, all in the same unit at the same time. We were talking in the Discord, like who was even running point for the other team. I think CJ Cox was also on the Braden and Omer team. Like it seems like we've loaded up one side. Look, again, I think there's been different rotations. I don't think ultimately any of this matters, but found it intriguing at least day one. As far as we can tell, they're working on Omer playing with Braden instead of necessarily competing against him. As far as projecting rotations, there are still a lot of Purdue fans that think Omer will not be in the starting lineup. Does him scrimmaging with Braden mean anything to you from that projection standpoint?
Omer is definitely in the starting lineup. There's just, I mean, he's way too talented not to be. I understand where Purdue fans are coming from. What I think is interesting, CJ Cox playing with them. Because I think it's more likely Clough, and I keep saying it, I don't want to be disrespectful to Oscar Clough. I think he's the one that's going to get his minutes cut at some point to make all this work. And that's not to say he won't start. Do I think Clough finishes games or Jacobson finishes games? I don't. I think you finish games with TKR at the five.
Super
And
small?
super small. And you kind of run like a death lineup of four shooters in TKR. Like, what are you going to do with Omer Meyer, Braden Smith as ball handlers, Fletcher, CJ Cox, or Antoine West, whatever direction you choose to go, that or Jakari Harris even in two of the corners, and then TKR kind of doing the DHOs? I mean, we're saying it's impossible to guard with two bigs that can't shoot on the floor. It's incredibly impossible to guard if you have only one person that can't shoot on the floor. So I think that's kind of the route it ends up going when it's all said and done, especially against teams like Michigan, who I believe will close with like a smaller lineup also, right? Like I think it's possible you see Michigan close with Yaxel at the five. Or you see, obviously you put the ball in Yaxel's hands too a lot. So I think it's going to be stuff where you mix and match based upon who you're playing. Against Michigan State, you probably don't have to do that because Michigan State will run some like dinosaur lineup out there from the 60s. Um, but there's going to be teams like a Duke is going to probably close with Cam Boozer at the five. You have to match that sometimes. And I think you see Purdue kind of testing out, can we match up small? We know we can match up big. How are we going to do all these different things? It seems like they have their answer. I think the answer is yes, but the answer is definitely not putting probably your second most naturally talented player on the bench.
Yeah, it's interesting. Long way to go as far as starting lineups and rotations are concerned. But I just like if we're making, I don't know, takes or thoughts, observations based on the first things that have been shared. Interesting that they're working on Meyer and Braden together as opposed to Meyer competing and pushing Braden. Now, CJ Cox looked like he was also on the same unit. That's intriguing because if you are going to work on Omer and Braden together, I would think CJ should be working against them and feel that competitive energy. And like you need Braden to be pushed respectfully. If you're putting Braden, Omer, and CJ on the same side, like, is Antoine West ready to push those guys? I don't know who is. So I would think maybe you split it up a little more fairly, at least in the backcourt spots in the future. Here's one thing I will say, and we threatened Purdue, we pressured Purdue, and like to give ourselves credit for getting this post quickly. Let's try it again, shall we? One more time. The only thing I didn't get from this that I wanted was some clips of Braden and Omer playing together. We got the look at Braden watching Omer, and that's exciting. But as far as I can tell, Braden wasn't actually on the court with Omer for any of this. Even if they were on the same squad, every play that we saw Omer and TKR, Omer and Fletch, Omer and everybody. Let me see what it looks like, Omer and Braden together. Don't keep that under wraps forever. You think we get any of that before the season, Dion?
I don't. I do think they keep that under wraps. And I think they let everybody think Omer might not start, and then he just immediately starts. Like I could see them in the exhibitions, like Omer like plays like 5 minutes and everybody freaks out, and then he immediately plays like 35 first game. I want to pressure them into something too. So they did this drill where the defender is like bent over as if he's about to twerk, and the offensive player just has the ball on his back, and then they blow a whistle, and the offensive player just immediately blows by the defender. Let's just not do that drill, I think. I don't really know what the goal of that drill was. It created like a 2-on-1 scenario where Omar Meyer just hits. That's the one where he hit the no look pass to Fletch cutting in.
Take
But why?
pass.
It was a sick pass. Why was the defender twerking before this drill started, though? Like, was that
Yeah,
like
that one, it did not look like live full action. It looked like, okay, it's just going to be a downhill 2-on-1, make the pass. And Omer was like, ooh, chance to do my flashy pass. I like that. I don't know. I just love this kid, man. I'm so jealous of Purdue fans this year. It's going to be such a fun team to root for.